Welcome to the Great Basin Seasonal Outlook for February through May 2019. This is Gina Palma. Over the last 30 days, we've seen near to above normal temperatures over the western two-thirds of the Great Basin and temperatures just below normal over eastern and southern Utah back into the Arizona Strip. Precipitation has also been above normal in these areas of Utah that have seen the cooler temperatures and over parts of the Arizona Strip and far southern Nevada over the last 30 days. We've also seen some above normal precipitation move into parts of northwest Nevada. Other areas generally saw near to just below normal precipitation over the last month. Looking at the precipitation since the beginning of the water year, October 1st, 2018, you can see areas over the eastern half of the Great Basin have largely been above normal, also further west into parts of Nevada, with areas across Idaho into Wyoming generally being below normal. However, looking at our snowpack, we are seeing snowpack near to above normal over many areas of the southern two-thirds of the Great Basin. Again, where we have seen that lower amounts of precipitation, our snowpack is also just below normal over parts of central and eastern Idaho into Wyoming. Looking at our drought conditions, we still have at least moderate drought over much of the Great Basin, still some pockets of severe drought and even extreme drought in far southeast Utah, and also some severe drought still remaining over northern Utah into southwest Idaho. Some areas of eastern Idaho into Wyoming and over western Nevada have largely been out of drought or just seeing abnormally dry conditions. If we look at how our fuel conditions have been responding recently, the only dry areas of the Great Basin that have materialized here over the last couple of weeks has been over far southern areas of Nevada, Utah, and the Arizona Strip, with fuel moistures still much higher due to cooler temperatures and some precipitation further north. Looking at our 100-hour and our 1,000-hour fuel moistures, we're seeing that same trend. If we look at some of our current fuel charts, you will see the green line represents our conditions for the current year, with the gray line being normal conditions. And you can see most areas are near normal across the Great Basin with fuel conditions, which is very low for the time of year. And then looking at parts of Utah, however, we have seen some drier conditions, or we saw drier conditions earlier in the month, and we did see those fire danger indices increase to well above normal, but have been on the downward trend. So now if we put all these pieces together, we'll start looking at some of our outlooks for the weather over the next couple of months and then look at the fire potential. Over the next 8 to 14 days, we will see cooler temperatures across much of the U.S., especially up into the northern Rockies, the Northwest, and parts of the Great Basin will be quite cold as you go further north. Precipitation over much of the basin also is expected to be above normal, with the exception of, again, northern areas up towards Idaho, which have largely been removed from some of this above normal precipitation. Looking at some of our global anomalies, we are looking at currently in a neutral state with respect to El Nino and La Nina, but as you can see from the various models that are depicting generally keeping these warm conditions in the ocean's sea surface temperatures, so we potentially could see a return to El Nino briefly before some of the temperatures start to cool later during the spring and summer. But we'll continue to monitor this as it will have some effect on our weather. So now looking a little bit further out, through the month of February, we will continue to see those cooler conditions over much of the Great Basin and the above normal precipitation generally over the southern half of the region. This may play a role in some of our fine fuel growth over southern areas of the Great Basin, and we will continue to watch that as we go through the next few months. As we get through the March through May time period, we may return to a warmer and drier trend across the Great Basin. So again, we'll continue to monitor this. If we do get some wetter conditions here in the next 30 to 45 days, we will see those conditions potentially dry out as we head towards the beginning of fire season. So now we'll put all this together, and our outlooks really are showing normal conditions going through February and March, still kind of finishing out the winter and going into the spring. And then as we get towards April and May, we are not depicting any areas above normal at the present time. But again, we'll continue to monitor, especially towards May, maybe late April, as we look towards the southern areas of the Great Basin. We'll be monitoring that fine fuel growth to see if we have any areas that could be problematic as we start the season. That concludes our webcast for this month. Check back at the beginning of next month for the latest updates.